And that was, again, just fascinating. That's like the word for this series for me. Well, hello. Welcome back to my channel. Just Shauna here to talk about some friggin' books. 2 books, part of a duology called The Manifold Wars. I do have one of them currently, a physical copy, but I'm just going to put both of them up on the screen. You know what we're talking about, though, because of the title. Severely underhyped fantasy series. This is by Foz Meadows, published by Angry Robot Books. The first one was, I think, 2015 or 2016, and then the second one, Tyranny of Queens, was, I think, 2017. And I picked this up because, well, I had the physical copy of An Accident of Stars because it was a Storygraph recommendation that I got, that I saw, I think it was last year. It was maybe the end of 2022, but I think it was last year. And I just was like, oh, that looks kind of fun, and the synopsis sounds kind of cool. And then I don't remember if I found a copy of it at Changing Hands or if I bought the copy from Amazon. I don't know, but I got the mass market paperback and I just had it on my shelves. And I was planning on using it for a Storygraph recommendations vlog at some point. But then it was on my own, unread, and I want to get through that this year, so I'm kind of prioritizing that. So I picked it up in January, just oh, hey, let me grab this one. I think because I had recently read A Strange and Stubborn Endurance by Foz Meadows, and I really, really liked that one. I really liked the writing, and I really liked the character work. But it was way more romance than fantasy. It was fantasy romance. That's what it was, which is fine. But the world was kind of cool, but we didn't see that much. The point of it wasn't the world and what's going on in the world. The point of it was more the romance of it all. And it was really good, and I liked it. So I was like, hey, I'm extra motivated to try out some more Foz Meadows. And this I knew was more just fantasy. And oh my God, so good. So this is Portal Fantasy. We are following a cast of characters. We get, there's multiple POVs. I would say there's definitely a main character whose name is Saffron, who is a teenage girl from Earth who accidentally walks through a portal, follows someone through a portal, another Earth woman. But this woman has been a world walker for 30 years. And she just happened to come back to Earth to see some people, do her thing. And then as she's leaving to go back to this other world, Saffron sees and follows her and ends up in this other world. And that character's name is Gwen that Saffron follows. So it's really Saffron is the main character, I would say. The larger character development, the most character development that we focus on is Saffy or Saffron. Those are her different names. But then we get a lot of Gwen as well. And then there's Yena that we get a lot of, and I love Yena. Then there's Louis that we get a fair amount of, at least in the second book. I don't know, there's a handful of other characters that we get a fair amount of POVs in, and then maybe 3 other characters that we get a couple of POVs with, right? So it's a cast of characters. And this is very queer normative, where Saffy ends up, where she follows Gwen to, where we are most of the first book and most of the second book also. Pretty much in the whole first book, we are in this place, and then a lot of the second book. It's very queer normative. Saffy is also sapphic. We have autism rep in the second book. We have trans rep in both books. We have PTSD, represent people suffering from PTSD in the first book and in the second book a little bit. There's various mental health kind of, there's a lot of introspection, I would say. There's not always a lot of stuff going on. There is and there isn't. Like I said, it's a lot of introspection, political scheming, political machinations, political planning. It's pretty complex, and we have these worlds that are just really cool and unique, fascinating. I think that's what it is. This duology, I was fascinated throughout. In the first book, there was 1 or 2 times where the pacing, where it was a little bit too slow, and I was like, okay, I'm ready to move on. But it was only 1 or 2 times. I rated the sequel higher. I gave the first book 4.5 stars. I gave the second book 5 stars. And yeah, I was fascinated the whole time with what was going on in our characters' heads, what was going on with the cultural norms and what that meant for this thing that happened and how we were going to react to it. There's various trials that happen for various reasons. And the magic is really cool. Like, there's portal magic. There's also language magic. There's just all kinds of cool ass magic. They have really cool, unique, like, animals and creatures and, you know, different suns and moons. And then we get into the cultural aspects with the religions and their marriage customs, which are really fascinating. They kind of all have like a polyamorous thing. The one country is matriarchal, and they're like warrior matriarchs, and they literally don't give a shit about men. Like, they're kind of just like, fuck these guys. Like, who your dad is, nobody gives a shit. They do not care in the slightest. But their religion is something else. Like, there are strict rules you have to follow, and like, you will be exiled if you don't. Like, down to like cutting your hair and like having your head shaved if you're from this place. And if you don't, like, there are consequences. That's another thing. The stakes are high. Like, there's some shit that happens that you're just like, what the fuck? Oh my god. Oh my god. Like, we just did that? Okay, fucking cool, I guess. Like, shit, man. And that was, again, just fascinating. That's like the word for this series for me. The culture that was created, the world building, the magic. It was also, and the character work, the character development, what was going on in our characters' heads and what they were grappling with. Just fascinating. And I say Saffron is kind of like the main character for me because of how it begins and ends. Following her, there's a few characters that kind of have an arc, asking them the question of like, what do you want out of your life, right? Like, a few characters that are just like coming of age. They're teenagers. There's a few teenagers, there's a few adults. And several of the teenagers are like figuring out who the hell they are and like personal autonomy and just choice. Like, I want to choose my life for myself. And just seeing all of that, it was just really cool. I liked it, and I really liked these characters so much. I like want to get into the plot stuff, but obviously I don't want to be spoilery here, because this is just me trying to get more people to read this because it's so underhyped, and obviously not everyone is going to love it as much as me, and not everyone is even going to like it. I'm sure if any of this sounds interesting to you, there might be some of you that pick up the first book and DNF it, or like, this wasn't that good, Joshana, what are you talking about? Whatever. But I genuinely think a lot of people will at least quite enjoy it. Fantasy Booktube needs to check this out at the very least. So this isn't so much a review, I guess. I'm not going to get into spoilery stuff because this is just, I know not that many people have read this, and I want more people to try it. I finished the second book last night and immediately messaged Elle and Roger because I had been messaging them about this series. Like, you guys, you should check it out. I think you'd both kind of like it a lot. Because I finished it and I immediately was like, I need more. I need more. Like, Foz Meadows, please write more in these worlds with these people. Oh, these characters. I love them so much. But then it like ended and like things are tied up and like whatever. It ends. There's no like cliffhanger. There's definitely just, by nature of being portal fantasy, I think it's like there's obviously room for spin-offs in the future, and I would love that. But we don't have any kind of cliffhanger or like end credit scene of like, wait, will there be more? It's all, we're done. And I finished it and I messaged them, and then I was still like emotional, not because of anything like that crazy that had happened at the end that was like, I'm still like, just because it was over. Like, just because it was over, and because I just was like, it's been a while since I felt this like drawn in to like a world and to characters, and I just wanted to be back with them. Like, I'm like, I want to reread it right now. And it is so complex in so many ways. The culture, their customs, the religion, like the politics, that like I could do to reread it to like understand even more, right? But, oh my god, yeah, I definitely will be rereading this duology several times probably in my life. So, everyone who is at all intrigued by anything I've said in this video, just give it a shot. Just give it a try. Booktube has been sleeping on this series, is my opinion. And there's a fair amount of good reviews for it too. Let me see what the average on Goodreads with 1,200 ratings is 3.7 for the first book. And the second book, the average is 4.22. And I saw after I wrote my review and like whatever, I always like to see like, did other people like love it as much? There's so many 5-star reviews or 4-star reviews, and so many people specifically saying, I can't remember the last time I liked a sequel more than the first book. And same. Like, I really liked the first book, but God, oh, the sequel, it was so good. God damn. All right, my job here is done, I hope. And I need Foz Meadows to write more just like fantasy. The fantasy romance was good too. Like I said, I really did like A Strange and Stubborn Endurance a lot. The character work, like Foz Meadows can get into like character dynamics and character psychology and like what they're going through mentally and just make you like drawn into them so well. But man, the worlds being so fucking fascinating and everything, like I need more. All right, there we have it. I'm gonna stop just raving now. As always, thank you so much for your time. Hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.